All right, take two. Sorry about that. We'll try this again. Um, Take two. All right, sorry about that. Let's see. All right, let's see. I'm looking for Lisa. Lisa should be joining any moment now, and we'll chat with her about her journey on the Bean Protocol. And we actually worked together before I had launched my course, and I offered just a protocol called the Bean Protocol, which I no longer offer. Hey there, I think, there we go. She is on. I'll answer questions. Hey Jay, I'll answer questions as we have time, but mostly I just kind of want Lisa to talk about her experience. As you know, we don't really prep these calls. Hey Lisa, I'm looking to see where I can ask. I think an invite shows up. Hey Lisa, yeah, I'm pretty sure that a thing should show up saying that you can ask to join live. I'm pretty new at this still, so I don't know exactly how that works. But I see you, Lisa, so hopefully an invitation will pop up. Because I still don't know how that works, to be honest. Oh, there it is. Gotcha. Technology is hard. Lisa is uh, joining us now. Lisa!
Hi, we
How
did
are
it.
you? I know. I'm like the least techie person in the universe. The fact that I even have this set up without holding it is kind of amazing.
I am with you. I have the
Lisa
middle-aged
is
technology problem.
joining us now.
Okay, I'm going to take it off of my computer. I think that was the problem. Okay.
Hello.
I'm in.
How are you today?
I'm great. So nice to see your face.
So nice to see your face. I know it's so interesting so much of the time because what I do is on the phone. I don't even know what anybody looks like. Like I have no, kind of, I don't have know anything. So it's actually really, really nice to see you. This lovely person I've been in contact with for such a long time. How long have you been on the Bean Protocol now?
Um, it's about 5 months to the week.
5 months.
Yeah, mid-January, I found you and my life changed.
You're a bean person now.
I am. I am a bean person for life.
Amazing. I love that. That's like music because I'm a bean person for life. And so now it's like creating this tribe of bean people. Yeah. I know somebody said I should do FaceTime appointments with people, but honestly, a lot of times when when people are not healthy feeling, I don't feel like they want to be seen, like the whole idea of doing Zoom or FaceTimes with people, I feel like, yes, Lisa is a client. She's been on the Bean Protocol now for 5 months. Somebody just asked me, and she's actually going to be talking about her journey with wanting to lose that hard to lose baby weight and just vitality and energy. And, I mean, I'll let you tell your story. So actually, we have a nice little crew of people here. Do you want to tell your story? How'd you find the Bean Protocol?
Sure. Well, I'm studying Chinese medicine. I'm getting my master's in Chinese medicine and acupuncture, and I love research. And somehow I came across Karen Hurd's story, and I thought, okay, a lot of people already think I'm a little bit out there with all of health and wellness things I believe. But I had a hormone imbalance after I had my son. And, being a mom going into their 40s, your body's already shifting and changing. And after I had my son at pretty much 40 years old, I had just extremely, extremely low testosterone. I could not, I did not feel like I was in my body. I had really high inflammation markers, high cholesterol, just everything was off. And all of the things, that you think that you're supposed to do, I was doing. I wandering the aisles of Erewhon, and I found a really good doctor in ND. She's French, Dr. Reed. She's wonderful. And she did an extensive panel of blood work for me. And also, that's how I learned how high my inflammation markers were and the type of cholesterol issues that I was dealing with. So I knew that I'm not a mom, becoming a mom in my 20s, and I want to live to be 100. And I thought, if I don't get this under control right now and figure this out, I'm not going to be there for my son. I will not have that life filled with vitality. So, essentially, I was at the end of my rope, I think, by the time I found you. And
so you found Karen, and then how did that lead you to me?
Okay, so I found Karen, and I was mulling it over. This was I'm trying to remember when this was. 2 weeks later, I'm listening to Lacey Phillips' podcast, and she starts talking about this bean protocol. And I thought, this cannot be that this has come up in my life within 2 weeks. And then she kept talking about you. And I just thought, this is it. I have to listen to this, because it's not something that a lot of people know about. And I thought, if this has come across my life 2 times, in 2 weeks, I need to listen. So then that's how I contacted you. I do think it's interesting how, even though, I thought that I knew a lot of things about health and wellness and things like that, I had completely forgotten to listen to my body. It was like a one-way conversation. And all of the supplements that I was putting into it, it was just this one-way conversation. And I wasn't really honest about, well, how do I feel when I drink a cold smoothie in the morning? And I felt terrible. And I realized, so your protocols definitely also helped, because I'm always drinking the warm water. But
Me too.
But you really helped, this protocol and the way that you coached really helped me learn to listen to my body again. And I know that sounds cliche, but if you're having that one-way conversation, it's a complete miscommunication. And I think that's what was happening for years.
Yeah. I think we think we can think our way into health, right? And there's so many articles out there going, hey, CoQ10 is good and vitamin D is good and all of these things are good. And so those of us who are seekers then go out to the market, to Erewhon or Whole Foods or wherever, or online, and then we buy all of these supplements, or we go to a well-intentioned functional medicine doctor and they load us with all of these supplements. And at the end of the day, these things might be good in a bubble, but they may not be good for us, and they may not even be helping. And there's even kind of a question out there of how much do they actually help? Just because they raise the levels in the blood, does it mean that the body's actually using those nutrients correctly? Because they're missing all of the cofactors that food provides, cofactors that humans don't even have a handle on at this point, right? So it's this relationship of thinking our way into health versus feeling our way into health is a really interesting one. Kind of an interesting disconnect.
And I will admit, it seems very simplistic in nature. And in the beginning, it's a little overwhelming, because you're changing your entire way of being. You have to constantly think about soaking your beans and being ready and prepared. But honestly, 5 years into it, I don't even think about it anymore. It's just something that, I feel my way around the kitchen now, and I know what needs to happen next. It's pretty amazing. But
that makes me so happy.
Me too. It really is. It is so simple once you feel better, and then a huge, yes, I wanted to lose weight, from the vanity level. I really wanted to feel like I looked at photos of myself and could recognize myself again. But what really stuck with me is just seeing my cholesterol completely within normal range now. My inflammation markers are no longer elevated. Things like that. That's what we're really going for, right? And the outside is just that reflection. And it was the beans. I have done nothing different with my life or my diet except adding the beans and listening to you, which I think your coaching sessions were essential because there are a few times within this where you feel like, is this really making a difference? Am I, or, oh, I'm eating
Or
this.
is this how it's, yeah, or is this how it's supposed to feel? Because there are moments when things feel plateaued and you're like, what am I doing? And I remember at one point you were losing weight and then you stopped for a moment and I was like, just keep going. Your body will continue as it balances to continue to shed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, the plateau. I'm sorry, I was just going to say the plateau was a really big, I feel like that was a really big shift because I thought nothing was happening. And then all of a sudden, that's when I noticed the difference.
Yeah. And somebody asked, are you taking supplements? I'm not taking any supplements. I continue not. I haven't for 7 years. And I do have the MTHFR gene, which is very controversial not to take supplements, but I don't. And they're asking if you're adding, are you avoiding foods? I mean, the protocol is sugarless for the most part, and boozeless and processed foodless. It's basically all whole foods. Now, what I always say to people, because they're like, unique, but fruit is good for you. And I'm like, yes, fine, good for you. But if your body's out of balance, then those things that are good for you can add to the imbalance. So in the pursuit of balance in the body, it's kind of removing all things that can possibly create or hold in place the imbalance. But once a body is balanced, you can begin to play with the balance of your life and adding things in as you feel your way through it to see how that feels. Because the last thing you want to do is do something that tastes good that works against your long-term goals for health and longevity, right? Even if it's good.
Mm-hmm. And I added some, I just tested fruit out as I was feeding my son, and I could tell within about 20 minutes that my body was just not digesting the way it does when I eat the way I know I should for now.
Yeah. And you'll keep playing with it as you listen to your body. I mean, to me, that's the most beautiful part of what you're saying is like, you're listening. You're not just going, what do I want to eat? It's like, how does my body feel about this? Somebody's asking about grains. Yes, if you do not want to lose weight, grains are part of the process, part of the protocol. But if you do want to lose weight, then grains are taken out. And where are you in the process, like vitality wise, weight wise? Like, do you feel like you've reached not only a lot of your internal health goals, but your external health goals as well?
I do. Something interesting that I think is happening, and the world is a little uncertain right now, obviously. And I've been under a tremendous amount of stress. My income has dried up at the moment. And, there are a lot of things that I think in the past, I probably wouldn't have handled them as calmly as I am now. So I think for overall vitality, yes, especially internally, but yes, externally as well. I mean, I'm wearing, I saved a small bag of clothes from right before I had my son, and I'm wearing those pants again. And, my body is older, but, but yes, I mean, I've already reached that goal, and I will just continue listening as to, what is homeostasis for me at this age,
You're young. I think I'm older than you. You're young. We're young, but actually, honestly, I love being in my 40s. I do. Like, I love it. I think it's, I feel the best and the most at home in my body and the least reactive to the world around me at this point, a sense of trusting.
Yeah. I really feel like having the mindset of just having commitment to this was really important. And I feel like as soon as I truly not just went through the motions of committing to the protocol, but really had that commitment, I feel like I lost so much weight so quickly because I had almost just released everything, and that's part of maturity too, I'm sure.
Yeah,
but I really plateaued around the second month. I think I felt like the first month I felt great, and I was looking better, but then around the second month I plateaued, and that took about 3 weeks, and then I started feeling like I was losing weight again. So
Yeah,
I
and I
just,
think the body does that. And somebody's asking you, how often do you eat beans and how much?
well, everyone has a different protocol that they should follow, right? Unique in
Yeah,
general, depending.
yeah.
For me personally, I eat them with every meal, and I eat a quarter of a cup, and I mix up the beans. I eat different varietals of beans, which makes it more fun. And then I also, one thing that I didn't mention before is that I didn't realize I wasn't in touch with my blood sugar, and now I can tell that I'm just level. And so I will eat a couple of tablespoons of beans in between meals if I'm not having my fat snack. So I'm just keeping things moving throughout the day.
And are cycles at all an issue? Like, are you, I know that wasn't necessarily an issue working together, but like, do you feel like things have kind of evened out overall?
I do. I do think my PMS is less dramatic. I think that, you know, in terms of the cycle, I've always had a pretty regular cycle, but it's actually gotten a little bit longer, which was something that was concerning me, you know, 6 months ago. So
Was your cycle not long enough before?
well, I'm sorry, the cycle, the days in between were okay, but I would only have my period for one day.
Oh, right.
And
Okay.
now it's a little more than two. It's back to, you know, what it was before I had my son.
Great.
So
That's
everything's starting
amazing.
to work. Yes.
A 1 day cycle is kind of crazy. Like, I don't even know if that would show up on the radar.
Well, I mean, it was happening. It was
Yeah.
definitely happening.
Oh, yes. And the wave before it.
Mm-hmm.
The wave before it.
Yes.
Have we talked about strategies for PMS? Like, if you feel PMS coming on, that's something we can definitely talk about.
No, I would love to talk with you about that.
Yeah, so if you are still feeling an emotional surge around, I mean, I think there's always going to be some shift in emotions, you know, but it shouldn't be dramatic because I think the female body is extraordinary, right? All of the things that we have to do to be able to have a cycle every month of hormones is incredible. So I think there's always going to be some sort of shift as you know, progesterone and estrogen kind of shift in the body, but it shouldn't be, I don't feel like we should be angry, out of control, you know, kind of lose it. I think that's a sign of an absolute imbalance, but I'm really imbalanced. I'm like clockwork every month, and I still feel a dip where I just need time to myself, you know, to kind of like chill, not push myself. And, you know, even sometimes I'll want to take a nap. And I noticed that over the last 7 years. So, the female cycle also, I think we're really kind of obsessed with it happening the same every month. And our bodies just don't work like that. You know, we're much more fluid. Our minds are more kind of set and our bodies are really fluid. And I notice like even from month to month, like I'll be like 27 or 28 days or some months 30 days. And I think there's this idea if it doesn't come at the same time every month that there's something wrong. And I don't think that's actually the case because I've never been this healthy. And mine continues to just kind of ebb and flow, so to speak, ebb and flow. So, but I'm happy yours got longer. That's really great. Is it the same amount of days, like 28 days or 30 days and just now longer days?
It's still 28 days, but it's longer. And I don't feel that wave of emotion that I did before. Mine is more, I would get sad, you know, more of like a depression kind of thing rather than irritability. But yeah, it's lessened. And I mean, I'm very shocked by that because it's only been 5 months that I've been doing this. So
yeah,
once
the
again,
6 month mark is a nice mark for the endocrine system in healing. And I love that you have made it a way of life for yourself. I'm so happy. And some people ask, like, what did you remove when you started the Bean Protocol?
I removed the two things that my doctor asked me to remove, which was gluten because of my inflammation markers, which was that part that was only hard for a couple of weeks. And then dairy was the other thing that I did remove. And I haven't reintroduced that. I know, Unique, you said that I could probably reintroduce that at some point, but I just haven't even, I have not had the desire for that at all. Also processed foods, I don't even go for them anymore at all. And I will confess that I have gone off of the protocol since this lockdown, and I have had some wine sometimes. But the amazing thing is, when I would have a glass of wine, even 6 months ago, the next day I would feel foggy. I would always have a headache. And now I just feel like I'm, it's not the best thing for my liver, but I feel like I can recover so much easier the next day from that. So
yeah,
I cut out a lot of dairy.
A lot of people, and because you don't eat sugar, are you still not eating sugar at this point in the bean game? Awesome. A lot of people ask me, like, how do you go out when you're on the bean protocol? I actually coach a lot of single ladies, and I'm just like, eat your beans before you go out. Don't try to go on a date and find beans. Like, that's just a bad idea. Like, don't do that.
Yes.
So just eat your beans before you go out. Yeah. And if you have alcohol, actually, you can eat beans when you get home too, But most people ask, like, 2 glasses, when people are balanced and healthy, 2 glasses of wine a week is what Karen recommends. And I'm like, people are funny because a glass of wine probably in her mind is probably 8 ounces and everybody else is probably, like 16. So,
right.
Somebody asked if you were caffeine dependent when you started.
Yes. And that is something that I have not given up. I've pretty much always had one black coffee in the morning. And I drink a small one, a small black after my mycelium husk. So I admittedly have not completely eliminated caffeine, but my attitude towards it has changed because I used to find myself really dipping in and wanting caffeine in the afternoons, and I just simply don't need that anymore at all. And I also think having just hot water on hand also has satiated that desire for that routine of a warm coffee or tea.
Yeah. I agree. Like, for me, it wasn't hard to cut out caffeine because when I was sick, I was just so sick that I was like, I couldn't do anything. And then when I got healthy again, I tried caffeine and it literally sent me to the moon, like just like anxiety out of control. So I cut it out, and I would have a sip from time to time of it, but it just was, my nervous system doesn't handle caffeine well. And that was something that became really clear. So now I occasionally, and I'm 7 years in, I occasionally have like matcha and stuff like that. And it still spins. If I have more than half a cup, it spins my nervous system out. So I know for me personally, like, my body is incredibly sensitive and I can override it, but I don't want to anymore. Like, that's something I would have done as a younger person. I would have done something that my body is being really clear that it doesn't like, but I'm going to do it anyway because I want it. It tastes good, And if anybody knows human design, I'm a taste person and smell person. So my asshole taste buds definitely ran part 1 of my life. So training them to like the foods that actually supports the rest of the body was a big deal for me. And do you feel like your taste has changed since being on the protocol? Like, do you find yourself more gravitating to things in general that feel good inside your body as well?
Yes. And if I am somewhere and I haven't had beans for a couple of my meals, just because this has been a crazy couple of months, I find myself craving them. I can't wait to come home and actually have the beans. But I think that I almost feel as though the foods that used to feel bland to me no longer feel bland, which is interesting. And I don't crave sugar and the processed foods like I used to if I wanted a snack. But I think it has shifted. I mean, when I had that piece of fruit, it felt so sweet to me. Whereas in the past, it wouldn't have triggered that response.
Mm.
So,
And have you reached your weight goals, or are you still kind of going? And how much was that?
okay, I do not own a scale, nor
Yes,
have
I
I,
love that. Yeah.
nor have I ever owned a scale. It's
Good.
so interesting though. When I was pregnant, I could almost tell you within a 3 pound range how much I weighed. I've always kind of just known by the way I feel. Ideally, I'm going to guess that I have another 5 to 7 pounds. I mean, I know that sounds crazy since I don't know the scale, but, um, yes, I think I'm now in that phase of, oh, there's just this bit left, that I would like to manage. But I'm just being patient. I'm not deviating because I know I've just seen how quickly this has gone in the last 5 months, and I know I'm on to something. But yes, I am not completely 100% there. I just feel so much better. And even just that in and of itself, if I don't look exactly the way I had anticipated, I feel amazing.
Awesome. That's huge. The thing I noticed for me, because I gained weight on the protocol, but I needed to, I was like 90 pounds and a little golem. And what I noticed when I gained the weight is that I wasn't puffy. Like I didn't feel a puffy weight. I felt like it was just a solid grounded weight, which was really nice for me, where I no longer felt puffy. And I went from having a super big bloated belly, inflammation belly, to having a flat stomach. Like I have a flat stomach, and that's a pretty great feat after a couple of kids. You're just like, oh,
Yes.
I have a flat stomach and I eat a lot of beans and fat. That's crazy. Because not all, people ask about calories, and I'm like, not all calories are created equal. And, I think that's the part of this protocol that's not intuitive. Obviously, weight wasn't an issue when I started. I know a lot of people have weight concerns, which is why I was so excited to bring you on to kind of speak to the fact that you haven't gained weight on this protocol. You've only lost weight and you feel great, which, I think if somebody's looking at the Bean protocol, to lose weight, it's not necessarily the correct path. It's like to feel vital and healthy and to let your body kind of find its vitality and health. And I think for a lot of people, their bodies might gain in the beginning and then kind of lose as they go, because some people feel a little more bloated when they first start, and that is very triggering. But I have found that I gained a bunch of weight in the beginning, and then my body just kind of found its path as I became vital and was able to start walking and doing yoga and being physical, whereas before I was just exhausted all the time. If you have adrenal fatigue and you're trying to work out, those two things are just not going to go together,
Right. I also noticed that I am hungry much more often now because my metabolism is functioning, and that to me is amazing. In the beginning, that was a little scary to me because I felt like I was eating all the time, and I thought, can this be right? Am I supposed to be eating this much? And I'm eating more often and probably more than I was before, and I'm probably 25 pounds lighter.
Right. Amazing. I mean, I don't know what you looked like before. And honestly, I actually like the fact that I don't know what anybody looks like when we start working together, because when I work with somebody, I'm really working with your frequency and your voice and what you're telling me with the way you're having the conversation with me. So actually meeting people when they're in a state of health and vitality is probably my favorite way to meet somebody, because I'm looking at me, I'm like, you're beautiful, you're glowing, this is wonderful. You've done all this work for yourself. This is amazing. But otherwise, for me, it's all frequency, like the frequency that the person I'm working with.
And speaking of that, you were definitely the right person for me to work with, your personality, because you were relentless texting me, which I so appreciated. That was so helpful just to know that I had someone in my corner. I also like how real you are about everything. I mean, this has been a huge blessing in my life. I mean, if there is anyone on here just considering doing this, I would just say, just leap, because it just makes a lot of sense once you get into it. And you're a great coach. You have helped me tremendously. Keep going.
Thank you. Thank you. This is it for me. I have finally found home. It took 40 years, but I found my space in the world where there's no greater joy for me than hearing your success in your body, because that means that we are elevating our own energy in the world, and your healthiness, you know, affects other people that are around you, that vitality and health. And I love that. So thank you for sharing your story with everybody today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for allowing that.
And continue to bean, my friend.
Always.
Wonderful. Well, I hope you have a great Sunday. Thank you for spending some time with us today on Sunday. I do it on Sunday because it's really the one day that I clear my books and I have nothing going on. So I'm just like, oh, I can just be. And yeah, thank you for sharing some of it with us.
Thank you, Unique.
Have a great Sunday.
You too. Bye.